Welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, where in this video we are testing the highway MPG of this, the Audi A6 Allroad. It's a little dirty right now, shouldn't affect the results too much. What I'm doing now is I'm topping it up to 100% full of fuel, and then I'll explain the test procedures. This thing is so great. So we are topping up the Audi right over here. This is the 2021, well technically it's a 2020, but it's the same as a 2021. It has 7,000 miles on it, which is a lot for a press car, but I've just set the tire pressures to manufacturer rating, filling it up to 100% again, all the way till it clicks. Then we're gonna give it 30 seconds to rest. Then I'm gonna fill it all the way up. We're gonna jump on the highway in a loop style test up from here in Wellington, Colorado, up to Cheyenne and back. As you can tell, it's a little windy. The wind's coming out of the west, so we're gonna have a little bit of a side wind, which isn't ideal, but it's the only day that I can do the test because the highways just opened up after a massive snowstorm. Go back in our videos where you'll see how amazing this all-road is in the snow. Anyway, let's fill it all the way up and then jump on the road. You join me inside of the Audi now because it's crazy windy. Normally I'd do this tour on the outside, but you're just gonna have to deal with me and a little bit of B-roll. This is a 2021 Audi A6 Allroad. Again, it's a 2020, but we're saying it's a 2021. Makes no difference. As tested, this one's $71,990. It has the Prestige pack, all that good stuff. Base price is $65,900, so it's got $5,000 worth of options on it or so. It's got the 3-liter TFSI 6-cylinder but mild hybrid as well, so it can do extended start-stop operation. It just kicked on there. I'm going to make sure it stays off while we do the beginning of this test. I don't want to burn any unnecessary fuel. Makes 335 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. The whole car weighs 4,486 pounds, 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds. EPA rates this car at a 20 mile per gallon city and 26 on the highway, which I think is pretty interesting. So it's 3 MPG worse on the highway than the sedan and 2 MPG worse than the sedan version with the same engine. Has a 19.3 gallon fuel tank, so your cruising range is going to be significant depending on how this test goes. My guess is it'll do pretty well. So let's buckle up. We're going to run the car. I think I can do it when it's off. Hold on, let's put it on accessory power. Let's get the car set up. So we're going to run no heated seats. We're going to run air conditioning at a 72, I always run 68 to 72 degrees on auto. Let's get the, let's see, there's no efficiency setting here, so we're just going to run in comfort mode. And let's see, there's no efficiency setting for the HVAC either, so we're just going to have to keep it in auto mode at 72F. Man, I'm pretty excited to see how this Allroad does. Definitely take a look at our other videos if you haven't yet. We have 8,079 miles on the odometer. Just going to take a quick picture of that, and off we go into drive. I'm going to use the drive profile in comfort and give you some updates along the way. So this one has the 7-speed dual clutch, which is nice because you don't have the inherent losses that you would have with a traditional torque converter automatic. You get the same benefits of a manual transmission in the way that it basically just hooks up and the gears are locked in and there's no slippage. You're not powering through, you know, a whole bunch of fluid in a torque converter, for example. So this should get pretty good fuel economy, is my guess. And again, we're going to end right back here in an hour and a half or so, however long it takes us to do this test. And gentle accelerations up onto the highway. We're going to run minimal boost when possible. I always accelerate onto the highway in a general sense, but as soon as we get up there, we're going to set the cruise control at 70 miles per hour. Once we're set at 70, I'm going to confirm that 70 is a true 70 miles per hour in our GPS accurate device. And then we're going to loop all the way up to Cheyenne and back to here. The roads are nice and dry today, so it's going to be a dry weather but cold weather, 39 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Car's at operating temperature, of course. I drove it up here for the beginning of the test. We run pretty much every car in the same scenario and then provide you the results. So time to jump on. Auto start stop, doing a pretty good job there. Have to say, the auto start stop system on this is fantastic. You can barely feel it start back up. Everything about this car is cool. We're going to merge on up, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the A6 Allroad, one of the coolest wagons you can buy. Initial impressions after jumping onto the highway now, 71 miles per hour indicated is a true 70 miles per hour GPS. most German cars tend to be slightly optimistic by 1 or 2 miles an hour at 70 miles an hour. I think BMW is probably the worst offender. Mercedes has actually been fairly accurate recently in the cars that I've tested. Anyway, cruising along, perfect conditions. The wind is actually only 4 miles per hour. I just checked it. For some reason, there was a little pocket back at that gas station where we started where it was a little bit worse. So we're going to make sure we have no aero advantage from trucks. Actually, the trucks will be passing us because we're going under the speed limit for this test, as we always do. I have to talk about how this car performs on the highway, some of the technology that I'll be using. First of all, this one has the Bang & Olufsen good sound system. There's 2 to choose from. Honestly, I haven't looked to see which one it is. I think it's only the 725 watt version, but you can get like a 1200 watt cranking system. This might be that because it sounds incredible. Either way, this thing rocks. Great sound system. Probably one of the best I've heard in a car, actually. And then we need to talk about ride comfort and noise. There's a giant truck passing us right now, a 7-Up truck, and you can barely hear it. It is so quiet in here. That's because, especially with this Prestige pack, you get the double glazing on the windows, the 2 panes of glass, for example, and it is just whisper quiet in this car. Unbelievable. And then with the suspension in the comfort setting, it just flattens the bumps. It rides like a Rolls Royce, and I reserve this term loosely. See, there's no one in the left lane because that truck pulled out. I'm going to move to the left so we have no aero advantage. This car rides so well. I mean, it is a mile muncher. You want to talk about taking a car, going cross country on like a big American road trip, this is the car. So cool. Also, it has good driver assistance. So I have my lane centering on here. It's controlled by a button on the end of the turn signal stalk, and the car's just steering for me. So what does it need me for? It's doing everything. Well, just a driverless, I should say, not a driverless system. It is a level 2 driver assistance system that is purely just assisting me by keeping me in the lanes. I've driven plenty of Audis with this system now. I think it's great. Super simple implementation. You just get a little steering wheel that says, hey, I'm helping you out, but you do need to constantly put torque in the wheel. It'll always ask you to touch the wheel, for example. So I'm going to sit here until we get to our halfway point. I'll update then, but just so you know, I'm going to be having a very comfortable ride in the A6 Allroad. All right, so I checked. This car definitely has the good sound system, and man, is it incredible. What a great place to spend time cruising down the road. This car is silent, smooth. I keep saying it. So we've reached our halfway point. I just pulled it off 70 miles an hour. We had almost perfect conditions on this particular loop. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here because it looks pretty traffic-y. I actually think the reason there's so much stuff going on is because the highway's closed up ahead. So thankfully we have a continuous left turn. We don't need to cross over, basically. So it looks like we have a pretty smooth U-turn back on the highway, which is great. Interesting thing is, when you're approaching a stop in this car, it actually shuts the engine off like most mild hybrid systems. So it'll turn off the engine at 10 miles an hour. Take a look, watch. 13, 12, actually at 12 miles an hour, it just shut itself off. That's so awesome. Now it's back on. We're going to inch through a little bit of this snow pile and take a look at this. Just full lefty lefts the whole way through. Gotta love it. And then we'll just turn left back onto the highway right here. Man, if I had to take a road trip, this would be very, very high on my list. And the range is very impressive. I think this thing was showing over 500 miles of range, and it's been increasing on this drive for sure, just because we've been driving it pretty hard. But yeah, love this thing. Let's merge back onto the highway gently. Again, 70 miles an hour. We're going to set the cruise at 71 indicated, and we're going to end up back at the fueling station. Now, I should probably make a video as to the exact procedures I do when I make these videos, when I do these tests, because it's very important. I don't want to sit here idling still, so I'm just going to squeeze around this truck. There we go. That's the Allroad for you. And we'll let this guy on in front of us. And now we'll merge onto the highway. So I should make a video going through how I do these tests, because they're all the same, and I have to take 5 minutes out of every video to explain them. However, it is important that we run a loop style test This is the only bit of water we've hit all trip. It's important we run a loop style test because it negates any elevation differences. So certainly I could drive 65 miles down the highway, or in this case it's just under a 60-mile loop at 70 miles an hour, but if we go straight uphill, well, it's not a representative result. Here, at least, if I have some increase in elevation, we counteract that with some decrease in elevation on the other side. So lock and cruise in at 71. There we go. Active steering is on. Gonna turn up the music and I'll see you back at the gas station. As we're nearing the end of our MPG loop, I have to say, cruising down the highway in drive against 7-speed dual clutch transmission just locks the revs at like 1400 and a bit at 70 miles per hour cruising. That is just sitting nice and low. Also, because of this 48-volt mild hybrid system, you have an electric turbocharger. Technically it's a supercharger because it's not exhaust driven, but basically you have an electric motor on the back of a turbocharger that feeds air into the bigger turbo. This can spin up to 75,000 RPM in like 120 milliseconds. Anyway, like no time at all. And this creates boost pressure so that the main turbo comes on boil quicker and at lower RPM. So I had to make a quick pass before up a hill, and what I didn't want to do is have to drop the revs and deploy a lot of boost. This just gave me just enough. Again, didn't even kick down out of 7th gear, just to provide the torque up the hill just to get past that one car. Awesome, awesome engine here. Loves to rev out. Definitely watch our city mountain highway drive on this car, where I evaluate its driving performance in different environments, but I thought you'd like to know on our MPG loop. I'm gonna exit up here and I'll see you back at the fueling station. I'm gonna turn the car off as soon as we park because I don't want any wasted fuel here. All right, now it's time to fill her back up. Putting in premium fuel, of course. It is recommended, as you can see, premium only. And let's top this thing up. Again, we're gonna top it till it completes. We're gonna let it rest for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna squeeze again. And we're using the same pump. Oh my goodness, this really didn't take much fuel at all. Let's see what happens on the next squeeze. Guys, you might be as shocked as I am about this result. Oh my goodness. I didn't expect it to be this good. Again, EPA rated, I think 23 on the highway, right? Just like, or 26 on the highway. Yeah, 26 on the highway. We just drove 57.5 miles. That's our loop from start to finish. We have used 1.489 gallons, which means we've averaged 38.6 MPG. Wow, in this wagon, that is so good. This is not like a normal sedan. This is the Allroad. It's lifted off. Certainly the air suspension drops when you drive down the highway, but just incredible fuel economy here. 1.489 gallons to go 57.5 miles. I have to double check, like, everything's amazing. That's, I'm blown away. Don't know what else to say. Anyway, the A6 Allroad, this is one hell of a cruiser, folks. Might take premium fuel, but man, does it sip the juice on the highway. Certainly burns it when you get into boost. It's not very efficient when you drive it hard, but what car is? Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on another Out of Spec Reviews video. Let me know if you were as surprised as I am about the results of this MPG test.